but their only constitutional power, constitutional responsibility, right, is to hunt down every Igbo, young and old, that ever, propagates Biafra. You don't even have to propagate Biafra before they will hunt you down. When it comes to this Fulani terrorist terrorizing the people all over the place, it is beyond their jurisdiction. You are on your own. This is the state of things in the contraption, especially in the eastern part of Nigeria. People watched them, demonized the effort of Nnamdi Kanu, demonize, the sincerity of art, the love of Nnamdi Kanu for his own people. Some of them felt like they didn't feel. They actually asked that he should be killed. So the propaganda worked on some, maybe not on all, or even those that the propaganda didn't work on. There's another thing that is working on them: fear. The fear of, I don't want to be next. And in all of this, it has given the irresponsible criminal Igbo governors a bit of confidence, right, that they are going to get away with all of this. So when Nnamdi Kanu said, if I leave this place within 24 hours, the insecurity in the eastern part of Nigeria will end, they launched an immediate campaign led by Soludom. The same Soludom that went to go and take pictures with Nnamdi Kanu before his election, promising the people that he would do everything to actually, in fact, he said Bukwari promised him that he would release Nnamdi Kanu all before the elections. After that, the same Soludom is out, championing the campaign that the release of Nnamdi Kanu will never end the insecurity in the eastern part of Nigeria today. So, the people are now at the mercy of God knows who, because they are on their own. Every day in the eastern part of Nigeria, you have the local criminals, you have the Fulani terrorists, but their operation is different. The Fulani terrorists are there to destroy people's farms and then attack them and chase them away, those who fail to. But if you have to see the images, the pictures, it's like every AK day, like every 5 days, you will see people macheted, either by, on their farms or in their community. This border town community called Ehamofu, people are bleeding right now. Those who call for the head of Nnamdi Kanu, I can't find them anymore. See those ones who wanted Nnamdi Kanu to be killed, jailed. Don't ever release him. People of Ehamofu, they are being killed by the Fulani terrorists right now. I haven't seen the same energy. I have not seen the same social media presence, the same energy that they were using, demanding for the illegal incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu. I haven't seen that same now. Have you? Have you seen them come out right now in solidarity with the people of Hamufu? Yeah, none of their business. It's not. But let a news say Nnamdi Kanu is to be freed, then you will see the energy again. Don't release him. He's a this, he's a terrorist, he's the one that is causing insecurity in eastern Nigeria, this and that. People of Hamufu have been protesting for the past 2 weeks, non-stop. 2 weeks. I have not seen these social media influencers from the eastern part of Nigeria, from Igbo land. I haven't seen them. I have not seen those who claim to be obedient from the eastern part of Nigeria, who hate the God of Nnamdi Kanu to some extent. Not all of you, because I know there were those who are like obedient of eastern Nigeria at the same time who were asking for the justice or the right thing to be done. But there are some of you who took it upon yourselves. You take it so much with so much energy, demanding for an innocent man to be killed so that you can have peace. Now that the peace has eluded you right now, now that the people of Hamufu and other communities have been having 2 weeks endless non-stop protests, asking for the government to come to their aid. I haven't seen that same energy. Have you? I haven't. And that is why we hope that the likes of Soludom would understand the sacrifice, because this is more or less like a sacrifice now. The sacrifice that, the innocent blood of the Igbos that have been sacrificed by these murderous, Fulani jihadists. For their sake, they will join hands and demand for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. He must be released. He has to be released. Whatever your own political lineage, your political whatever, it is, without any safety, security, you are all living in a land, right, that is meant to actually soak your blood violently. This is not your blood being soaked because you are fighting for the land. It's being soaked because cowardly. Those who are supposed to protect you, they have absconded that responsibility. So we demand and we continue to remember we demand and we continue to demand for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, an innocent man that they have spent millions of dollars in trying to clamp down through propaganda, clamp down on the good intention, all right, of the IPOB. You call them whatever name you want to call them, but we can tell where that is coming from. I can tell where that is coming from. If you are not an Igbo person and you have this hatred for the IPOB, we also know where that is coming from too. Especially when you see the Ronukus, who are more concerned or pretended to be concerned about the sit at home in the eastern part of Nigeria, using that to mock the Easterners and the rest of that. We also know that it's not because you love them, it's not because you care, it is simply because you are also part of those who felt so intimidated that a man of Nnamdi Kanu's stature could have such influence among the young and the old in that region, and therefore the fear of what that can be. You see, if Nnamdi Kanu succeeds in breaking up the Biafrans out of Nigeria non-violently, as he was demanding for a referendum, a non-violent peaceful movement called the IPOB, demanding for the independent Biafra. Somehow we get to know what that means to you too, especially you, the Ronukus of Lagos, the Yoruba Ponus, the Yoruba bastards, Somuali, that have brought so much shame upon the Yoruba race, right? Because of one druggie, one drug addict, drug dealer, drug baron, a certificate forger. A man that thrives in divisive politics, hateful politics, and name it. So we all know all of that. Unfortunate, right, that Nnamdi Kanu is in the hands of those who wanted his head. Or also again, it is also kind of like almost like impossible for them to do whatever they had in mind. They can't kill him. They can't let him go. While the Fulani terrorists he warned us about are indeed massacring our people, claiming lands, turning some of part of our land into ungoverned areas. Ungoverned areas are the areas controlled by these terrorists, where the Nigerian authority never dares to come close. So the people trapped in those areas continue to pay taxes to these terrorists. I mean, in Adamawa, 9 years ago, in Adamawa, a young man called Sunday Johnson. I think, did I get that right? Give me a sec. That's right, Sunday Jackson, rather. Mr. Sunday Jackson, a farmer, went to his farm, right, 9 years ago, nearly 10 years ago now, because it was like around November or thereabout of 2015. This was just a few months after Boko Haram, the jihadists, APC, Egbekegbe, the terrorist, the Al-Qaeda People's Congress, when they took over government in Nigeria. Just a few months after that, this man went to his farm to go and pick up some of his farm produce, something to eat for himself, to eat something for himself and his family. When he got to his farm, this Fulani terrorist with a knife attacked him. Then he succeeded, right, in overpowering this terrorist. Took his knife, stabbed him to death in self-defense. Immediately, Mr. Sunday Jackson got arrested. They arrested him straight up. They charged him for murder. They charged him for murder, for killing someone who was there to kill him. I mean, how can I kill somebody? It's like using your knife. I didn't pick your knife from your pocket. I'm on my farm, right? I'm on my farm. You attacked me with a knife. I succeeded in overpowering you, collected the knife, defended myself in the process. Well, apply you. So when it comes to the Fulani terrorists, there's nothing called self-defense. We've had people in Ogun State in 2022. The elderly people in the community in Ogun State, right? They resisted the invading Fulani terrorists and their cows. They resisted them and stopped them from entering their village by using every force possible to stop them. A day after that, Nigerian army, they mobilized themselves and they went to this village. They marched all the older men in that village, because it's a village. They marched them out. They beat the hell out of them. They latched them. I'm talking about like with whipple, they beat them to stupor. And they now warn them that in their life, they must never stop the Fulani terrorists from coming to their communities. Because what they just did, a day will come that the Fulani will come and then they will kill all of them. So if this community asks for SOS, if they shout out SOS and call for help, they from Olukuta, what is that military base in Abeokuta? They said, we will never answer if you send us any SOS. That you are being killed by the Fulani terrorists. True story. Mr. Sunday Jackson got arrested in Adamawa, put on trial for murder. And a court in Nigeria convicted him for murder. Then the case got to the Supreme Court. And just last week, Nigeria Supreme Court confirmed the death penalty, that Mr. Sunday Jackson must be killed for defending himself. That, you see, when this, you know what the Supreme Court said? Said, when the Fulani terrorists approached him with a knife, Sunday was supposed to run away. He wasn't meant to defend himself. You were supposed to run away from that scene and call for help. That you stood back, defended yourself, like you said, it's against the law, so you've committed murder, so you must be killed. Now, the Supreme Court has confirmed that Mr. Sunday must be killed. Or in all of this, by the way, because when you look at the terrorism in Nigeria and their victims, they are mostly Christians. Let's start with that. Whether it is in the northern part of Nigeria or in the southern part of Nigeria, they are mostly, I'm not saying all of them, but they are mostly Christians. The jihad of decimating them, claiming their land, and like it's going to be a long war. So eventually, the entire place will become theirs as time goes by, as warned by Nnamdi Kanu. As warned. You have the GOs, you have mommy GOs, you have bishops, you have this, you have that. In that place, that we are talking about those who claim to be controlling the biggest congregation of Christian wherever in Nigeria or in the world. They don't want them where to talk about this, to condemn the killings, to speak about the killers. They just look away. Last week, the supposed Afenifere youth leader, his name is Eniola Ojajuni. Eniola Ojajuni was kidnapped by the Fulani terrorists in Ondo State. This guy, if everything was like a normal, this guy was supposed to be the president of the youth of Yoruba land in that kind of context. This was supposed to be the leader of all the Yoruba young people worldwide. But unfortunately, he wasn't, or he isn't. He was kidnapped in Ondo State in his own Fulani. He came out, he just told us, he said he was kidnapped by the Fulanis. They were beating him, they were making video of him, they were posting his video where he was begging people that they were going to kill him or they needed 100 million or they will kill him tomorrow. They said they will kill him tomorrow. And he was being beaten. He was being poked by the pot of gun, in Yoruba land. He didn't travel to Zamfara. He wasn't kidnapped in Sokoto. He was kidnapped in Yoruba land. Until ransom was paid. And there is none of these guys who will come out and use their own supposed public image to actually weigh in on this. They will rather look away. So in the case of Mr. Sunday Jackson in Adamawa, it has now become the responsibility of a man from the far away America, from the United States of America. They heard about the story, traveled down to Nigeria and said they were so disappointed. Like all evidence presented shows that this man was defending himself. How could the Supreme Court ignore all of this? So, well, you welcome to this contraption called Nigeria. The Fulanis in that contraption have kind of like a more, their life has more, have more value, so to say. Now, it is an American pastor that is now defending an Adamawa man on Nigerian TV, where you have Iroboye, Oledepo, and the rest of them parading themselves as your, they don't want them well. I don't understand. They don't want them well to talk about it or what, or they never heard about it at all. I don't understand. I don't. This religious persecution being championed, being pushed by this Fulani oligarch in that contraption. Are your pastors not aware? No? Listen to this.
Barrister Emmanuel and I have been working for a number of years here in Nigeria on human rights issues, and this is a sad day, Charles, for human rights in Nigeria. Sunday Jackson, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm a human rights advocate. Sunday Jackson, by anyone's estimation, is totally innocent. And the issue where this man was out farming, minding his own business, and then the attacker came and a struggle ensued. And of course, this man is going to defend himself. That's why we call it self-defense. And yet today, we were at the Nigerian Supreme Court, and it was very brief. It was only about maybe 2 minutes long. And we just wept at the failure of the Nigerian Supreme Court to say that this man, and they had the opportunity to say this man was totally innocent. We haven't seen all the ins and outs of the decision, but we had the opportunity to meet this humble farmer, this young man who unfortunately his wife abandoned him, had been on death row for 10 years. So Sunday Jackson has now become an international case for human rights.
Yes,
and
because
so we're going to continue to advocate.
I was going to ask you what are the international dimensions of this case?
Well, the international dimensions are Open Doors, which is a human rights organization, has recounted that there have been thousands of killings of Christians by Fulanis. And so as a human rights advocate and as a pastor, I'm here to advocate for this man who is totally innocent. So it has international implications. The eyes of human rights advocates are now on Nigeria. Like, how could this happen? How could this possibly happen? By anyone's estimation, as Barrister said earlier, manslaughter at least, because Murder 1 that he's being convicted of and may face hanging if we can't get clemency for him, it has to be premeditated. So what justice on the Nigerian Supreme Court that didn't pop up and say to him or her, this is a case of self-defense and this man is totally innocent. So we encourage people to continue to pray for Sunday Jackson and his innocence.
Yes, so this is really a sad day, I think, for Nigerians and their rights to self-defense. Nigerians